Hi, I'm Lou Kuenzler, the author of Our Beautiful Game, which is a historical story about girls playing football during World War I. And the central character is called Polly, and she's 12, 13 years old as the story goes on. And I would like to read you a little extract from it that's sort of early on in the story, but the story's got going because Polly, by this time, because she's 12, she's left school and she's been told by her mum that she has to go and get a job as a scullery maid. Now, a scullery maid basically peels potatoes and scrubs pots and pans in dark little rooms behind the kitchen in a fancy house. And Polly's been told to go up to Lilac Hill, which is the posh end of town, and get this job as a scullery maid that her mum has hopefully found for her. But Polly doesn't want to do that. All Polly ever thinks about is playing football, and she definitely doesn't want to be stuck away in a dark little room. So she's all dressed up in her Sunday best, her fanciest clothes, and Mum's even made her borrow a hat that Mum owns that's enormous and a bit silly, and Polly hates it, but Mum says she has to wear it to look respectable. So we meet Polly setting off very early in the morning to go for a job interview at a fancy house up on a hill. Polly had never been on the far side of the station. There hadn't been any reason to. As Mum said, it was just a couple of big factories tucked away in the back there, before you got out towards the edge of town and the big fancy houses up on the hill. Although it wasn't yet light, it was a lovely crisp morning, without any rain for once. Polly swung her arms, enjoying the walk. If she was going to be cooped up in some little scullery from now on, she might as well make the most of the fresh air while she could. Not that it was fresh exactly, it was full of smoke and steam from the factories, but it still felt good to be out and about and free. She darted forward, dodging round a lamppost and kicking an imaginary ball in the air. Blast! Polly felt a gush of icy water splash up the inside of her legs. Looking down in the gaslight, she saw she'd stepped straight into a big muddy pothole, right up to her shins. Her skirt was dripping wet and covered in slimy mud all around the hem. She remembered, too late, that she'd promised Mum to lift her skirt. What was the point in wearing something you had to hitch up the whole time? As she bent down to inspect the mess, Mum's big hat fell off into the puddle too. Blinking heck! Polly cursed, scooping up the soggy hat and putting it on top of a postbox for a moment as she leaned against the brick wall at the side of the road. She clutched the bottom of her skirt and wrung it out with both hands. A stream of muddy water splashed onto the ground. Polly was just wondering what she was going to do about the thick brown ring of mud all around her hem when she heard a familiar sound, the thwack of leather. She let go of her skirt and pricked up her ears. Football. There was a game going on. Polly could hear it, the scuff of feet and the thud of the ball, just on the other side of the wall. Instinctively, she looked up. The brick wall must have been 10 or 12 feet high. There was no way she'd ever be able to see over it. Here! Someone cried out. Pass to me! Polly smiled. From the sound of the voice, it appeared to be a girl shouting, but she couldn't be sure. Suddenly, a loud cheer went up, a great whoosh of voices all together. Goal! Polly was amazed. That definitely sounded like girls. Lots of them. She started to run as fast as her legs would carry her, darting along beside the wall, frantically searching for some way to see in. As she pelted round the corner, she found a pair of high iron gates with a big yellow sign hanging across them. Low Cross Munitions Factory. Authorised workers only. Keep out. Polly skidded to a halt and peered through the iron bars. Even in the grey morning gloom, she had a clear view of the factory forecourt, which was lit up by lights all around the side. Polly held her breath and stared, all thoughts of the big fancy house on Lilac Hill vanishing from her head. She was right. Girls were playing football together, lots of them, all running about, shouting and kicking the ball. That's the first moment Polly gets a hint that there might be girls' football teams just around the corner. Thank you so much for joining us on World Book Day Book Club. And if you get the chance to read Our Beautiful Game, I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.